Thank you all for coming. We rarely see this many people in this room. We're delighted to help you. Right. This is our regular June Library Commission meeting. And I am going to call the roll. You ready? Commissioner Hauser.
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie. Here. Commissioner Cagle.
Here.
Commissioner Bolford. Here. Commissioner Oaken.
Here.
Commissioner Engbar.
Here.
Commissioner Lagos. Commissioner Green. Here. All right. We have a quorum. And so because we have, we want to make sure that we hear everyone who wants to say something. So when I ask in this public space, how many of you will be wanting to say something at the microphone? I will probably ask at every action item so that we know how many people want to come up to the microphone so we can manage it. Okay, great. And how many people on the Zoom call who are members of the public would like to say something? We have members of the public. Yes. All right, okay. Thank you very much. So I call the meeting to order. Then our second item is to open the microphone for comments from the public. And this is for things that are not on the agenda. This is for things that are otherwise. So if you're interested in the budget, you would be speaking at the budget item. If you're interested in talking about something that is not on the agenda, now is your time to hit the microphone.
Are we waiting to be called on, or would you like us to just start talking?
Well, someone is at the microphone already, and how many people on Zoom would like to say something? Is there just one person? We're going to let the gentleman at the microphone speak first in public, and then we will switch to Zoom.
And Chair Doyle, do you want to announce did you already announce it?
You have a 3 minute limit.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
If you would get closer to the microphone, that would be
Just the
delightful.
little one guy here. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Walt Fraser. I'm the Vice President of the Friends of the Sebastopol Library, the Vice President of the Sebastopol Library Advisory Board, and a former member of the Measure Y Oversight Committee. But I'm speaking tonight as a private citizen. Sorry.
Speak up, or text maybe right next to the speaker. You got to be really close.
You speak over this way?
Over this way. Okay. It took a while for the truth to come out, but it did eventually. On April 7th, the manager of the Sebastopol branch received a call from the HR director ordering him to leave his key, his phone, his laptop, and exit the building, placing him on administrative leave. He was not given warning, not told the charges against him, nor told a date on which a hearing would be held. The call came shortly after SCL received a letter from the Sebastopol City Council asking that the Sebastopol Library be given 2 additional staff members needed to provide increased service to the community. You might want to look at that letter and the response signed by Chair Doyle and Director Tebow. After 6 weeks, he was given his position back within hours of the story going public on a local news network. This action by Ms. Silva, along with the abuse of the arbitration system, were clearly designed to punish the branch manager. These were angry, ego-based responses to a reasonable request from a partner in the JPA, which created your organization. It was yet another example of mismanagement of a public agency based not on best management practices, but instead on an ongoing centralization of power and expansion of administration in violation of the employee MOU, the JPA with the cities and the county, as well as the Measure Y expenditure plan. It's also been bad management to trash the morale of staff and those working in support of the library by taking unnecessary and unexplained action and then threatening them with termination if they talked about it. Finally, it's bad management to incur substantial additional expense to antagonize a community when you're trying to extend Measure Y sales tax funding. That's counterproductive. Despite what you're told, you, the commissioners, have an obligation to run this public agency and to act in good faith in the interests of the public, not to turn over the reins to a small cabal using it to further their own ends and egos. You need to take back control by selecting and hiring people to clean up this dysfunctional organization from the top. Stop obeying without question, do your own research, and vote no if something seems inappropriate. And I'd like to remind you that you have until June 21st to nominate a new chair and a new vice chair, which would be an excellent starting point. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have someone online who wishes to make a public comment?
Renata has her hand up.
You've
Renata,
got 3 minutes.
So sorry for trying to work the Zoom here. So it has been brought to many parents' attention that you guys have.
Can you tell us who you are?
My name is Renata Taylor.
Go
I
ahead.
am a parent who lives in Cotati in Sonoma, California, Sonoma County, California. I've lived in Santa Rosa, Rohnert Park, Cotati, Petaluma. And as a parent, it has been brought to our attention that you will be holding many different events for Drag Queen Story Hour. With this, as a parent, we are finding this to be highly inappropriate for children. Drag queens and kings are adult entertainers meant for adult entertainment. And last we checked, adult entertainment is not appropriate for children. We are looking to see why and or how the library would find this to be appropriate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public have a comment?
Yes, I do. Hello, my name is Jessica Warner.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
I am a mother of 4 children. My husband and I live here in Cotati. I have grown up in the D section for many years. My neighbor was Lynn Condi. Lynn Condi Way is the street we are on. I'm here to represent the families of our community to stand up against the drag story hour. This is not what our children need. We need people to stand up against this inappropriate action. And Lynn Condi would not support this. And I know that for a fact. So I want to ask you all to please consider the parents, hundreds of thousands of parents and children in our community who do not appreciate the library supporting this cause. So it is my duty as a mother, and as I have a 15-year-old daughter who looks at these people who are dressing up and they don't represent who she is as a woman. And I think that really needs to be heard from their perspective. And so that's why I'm here tonight. And I hope you take that to consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else online? Anybody else in public? 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a Sonoma County resident. I live in Santa Rosa, and I'm a parent of 3 young children. I am concerned as well about the content on display at the libraries, especially during the month of June, Pride Month. And now the library, I understand, is offering drag story time, which is even more upsetting. As a professional, I specialize in early childhood development. And science clearly shows us that a child's brain is not fully developed until the age of 26. Children are very impressionable and will, by nature, believe what any trusted adult tells them. Therefore, it is not appropriate for a county organization, a government entity, to offer such sexually explicit programs for small children. As a parent, I have chosen not to visit the local library for the month of June, and I've kept my children away. But this is not a decision I should have to make. Drag kings and queens have no business entertaining children, and children should not be led to believe that this lifestyle is normal. The library should be a place where children can explore quality literature that nurtures their minds in a healthy and productive way. And this drag storybook reading time event will just confuse and mislead them about what is true. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Autumn Erickson, and I'm a resident of Santa Rosa, and I have been a lifelong lover of books and of the library and all that the library does for our communities. You all would agree that at the library, the books themselves, with their characters, their plot twists, their lessons learned, are what should be center stage. And when we have presenters that come in avant-garde, feminine masquerade, that presenter takes the stage. It's not their place to be importing into our children what is right and what is wrong. That's what the books get to do. That's what stories get to do. They get to fill our children with adventure and excitement and not confusion. And the confusion that comes in these type of events is not confusion that our children walk into the rooms with, but confusion that they leave with. As a parent and an educator in Sonoma County, I've utilized multiple branches of our library system to support the growth and education of children from ages infants all the way up to young adults. I support this library system, but I fail to see how a drag story hour can provide any type of positive implication for these children and youth. Our library system is very quick to support acceptance and inclusivity of all lifestyles, of all perspectives, of all religion, and I think it's good for children to be able to learn under the guise of their parents. However, I do notice that our library system is lacking the ability to support those who do not want their children to be exposed to vices that are presented as virtues. I thank you all for taking the time to listen to us, to really understand where our parents are coming from, and to take action to canceling these type of events and this positive spin on this month of June. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sophia and I'm from Windsor, and as a mother of 5 and also an educator.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Yes, sorry. Hi, my name is Sophia and I'm from Windsor, and as a mother of 5 and also an educator, it is very important to me that my children are allowed to be children. Is that too much to ask? Is it too much to ask that they could have, you know, just like beautiful, innocent childhoods, and that conversations that I'm not ready to have with them, and that we're not ready to have introduced, are not shoved in our faces front and center? Like, the library is a wonderful place that should promote the beauty and the richness and the imagination of childhood. And I feel like it's no longer a safe space that I can go to with my children and enjoy just that. I feel like these these ideologies that are so like everywhere around us right now are just being, just pushed right in their face. And you know what? Adults, they may do whatever they choose to do, but when you start to push that onto children, then that is where the rubber meets the road. And as parents, we're going to stand up and say no, that this is enough, that this is not what we want our children being forced to participate in and see. Like these are adult conversations. So please, promote wonderful events that are age appropriate for kids. Drag does not belong anywhere with children. And not so long ago, that was like a no-brainer, okay? Like that whole sexualization and, adults behaving the way they want to behave, that's fine, but do not bring that over to things that are supposed to be for children. So thank you. Thank you for hearing us.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Patty Kensinger. I'm a Nana. A little nervous. I'm appalled and saddened at the drag queen story times. I'm here because I brought my kids to the library. I have a 17-year-old and I have a 5-year-old and I have a 7-year-old grandkids, and I can't bring them. I cannot bring them. How sad is that? It's embarrassing that I can't bring my kids and safely let them explore the books. You have to edit them. You have to censor them, because you cannot open a book and anyway. So I digress. I'm here because I would really like you to reconsider the drag queen story times. I have a little paper that tells about a book that talks about irreversible damage that is happening across our nation to young girls as young as 12. And I just would like you to inform yourselves. I would like you to be informed, and I would like you to consider the tenderness of the age group that you're talking to. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Sean Hamill.
Could you speak in the microphone, sir?
Yes, my name is Sean Hamill. And I am asking myself a lot of questions about how you, people on the commission, make choices, make policy decisions, set programs. And I'm wondering about transparency. And I don't know who's the library commissioner. Are any of you the commissioners? Or are you all commissioners? Okay.
We are all commissioners, and Erica is our library director, and Karen is the chief financial officer.
Gotcha. Thank you. So I am wondering, for Sonoma County, where you get your basic ideal agenda. Does it come down from the National Library Association? You're smiling, and I'm wondering if that is so. Are any of the policies that you are in conversation with on a broader scale, California or national, are any of those transparent policy papers that are available through the library? And I'm getting a sense you're not going to answer any of these questions at the moment. And I would probably encourage people to find that out. And if we're not allowed to find that, then I would say there's a problem. And in speaking about the concern for children and age-appropriate programs that you are laying out, I don't know if there's anyone that has spearheaded this here in the Sonoma County Library System. Any of you commissioners that have voted to actually implement these things and how that all happens, and whether it happens behind closed doors or as you are now, just I'm glad that's happening on this particular meeting, but a lot has gone on that hasn't happened and won't happen tonight. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And I guess have to look up and find out what things are available to find out how you guys do it. Thank you.
Next.
I'm Diana Martins, and I've been in Sonoma County for 35 years. I didn't want to talk.
Right.
I didn't want to talk because I get emotional, but I've been bringing I have 13 children, and I've been bringing them to the library for the past 35 years. And my youngest is 14, and now I babysit all my grandchildren. And when I saw that there was dry cleans, it just really broke my heart that this was a safe place that I was always able to bring my children. And the favorite memories that my kids have is of the libraries. It's like we didn't do family trips because our family was so large, so we utilized the county for all of the summer activities, and the story times every single week for the summer were their favorite memories because they got their little card stamped and they got their prizes and they got to learn how to use the index system, which now is, electronic, just all the things. And so as a mother of this area, it just breaks my heart that we have to compete with the sexualization of children when there's so many other places that can take place if parents want their kids to be exposed to that. But there's so many of us that don't want their kids to be exposed to that. And just a quick example, like you guys always had the most amazing agendas for the summer for children, and free books and free prizes and ice cream and all the different characters and different story hours. And if I didn't want, people might say, well, then just don't go. Well, I didn't. If there was areas where my kids were afraid, like if you have the snakes out and I knew I had a child that was afraid of snakes, I wouldn't go to that story hour. But this is an area where I feel like it's being pushed in our face for the sexualization, and this is something that needs to stay away from children. And I don't know from one time to the next if I'm going to go into the library what I'm going to find. And I used to be able to just take my kids in their pajamas and their slippers, and we could sit for hours in the toddler area, and that would be a place where I would get a little break as a mom of a large family. And you'd think, maybe I'm crazy because I have a large family. Well, I am. But the point is that this library system has been a rock for us because I get to check out books all the time. Their favorite thing was to get their own bags and have their own books, and I would limit them to 10, all the things. And that's what families in our area want. They want a safe place for their children. And having drag queens, it's not safe. Drag queens can be anywhere, but they shouldn't be around children. And it's not that I'm prejudiced or homophobic or anything like that. It's a sexualization of children. And I feel like we need to keep our children safe, especially in our county that's so enriched with family values. And just there's so many other opportunities. And I wish that you could just go back to the basics of just letting families be families and use the library as a safe haven. Thank you.
Next.
Hello, my name is Julie Cooney. Thank you all for serving. I know you must care very much about Sonoma County and about children, or you would not be where you are. And I take great confidence in the fact that you really do like to hear from us, and that's why you're so graciously letting us speak right now. And that you do want to know what parents are interested in. And sometimes, we don't tell you. And so I just have to say, I represent today the silent no more majority. And yeah, I agree with everybody else who's been talking about, please, don't bring the drag queens into the library. I mean, what I'd really like to know is what this gentleman asked is, what is the agenda? Where is it coming from? Do you all agree wholeheartedly with this agenda? Or are you following someone else's lead that's maybe from the state or from the federal government? I thought that this was a representative democracy and that you guys represented us. So please, listen, this is not the agenda of the majority of parents. The majority of parents in Sonoma County want childhood innocence restored. We want the library to be a safe place. We don't want it to be a place of indoctrination. And we really, I mean, it's fine if people want to be drag queens, but that is on their own time. That is not a political agenda to be pushed through impressionable minds. The level of trans children is skyrocketing. The people who are identifying as trans is skyrocketing in our country. Now, why is that? You could just as well be indoctrinating them into Hitler's SS or Mao's little children's, Red Army. It's like whatever you teach them, they're going to believe. So please, let's at least teach them what the majority of the parents want, and that is childhood innocence, adventure, morality, not sexualization. This is a fringe group, and that's why we're the silent no more majority coming to you and asking, please represent us, the parents of Sonoma County. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Alicia Grubico. I am also a mother of 6 children, as well as an educator. And I'm also here to speak on behalf of protesting the Drag Queen Story Hour with King Vera, who is coming to read to babies and all ages, as well as other fun learning activities. I don't know what a drag queen can possibly teach children, because not too long ago, drag queens were only entertaining adults. And that's the way it should stay, because our children are impressionable and innocent. And this raises questions that they shouldn't even have until they're much, much older, or at least until parents are ready to have those discussions with them. And this forces that before it should happen. It's the parents who should decide when they're at an age appropriate to have these kinds of topics discussed. And a lot of people have been saying the library is a safe space, and I agree. We keep hearing that over and over because I have brought my kids to the library for many years, hours on end, and I agree that now I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know what books are going to be on the shelves, and they always seem to be front and center, so you see them right when you walk in. And it does not feel like a place that I can bring my kids and completely trust that they're not going to see something that I'm not ready for them to see. Because I am the protector of their innocence. Me alone. Nobody else is going to take that from them. And if we have to stay out of the libraries, that's going to break my heart, but that's what we'll do. So I just beg you to please consider this is just not appropriate for children. Drag queens should just be with their peers, not educating our children. Thank you.
I'll say something. I just got here, so I'm not sure what has been said. My name is Deanna Oliveras, and I feel like the drag queen happy hour, forgive me, I wasn't prepared to speak. I think that it's a slippery slope. And I think we should err on the side of caution. And I think a public place like a library should be, I know it's a buzzword, but inclusive, right? We hear that word a lot. And sometimes the more we try to be inclusive, to include a group, we actually become not inclusive to everybody else. And I don't feel this way just for Drag Queen Story Hour. I feel this way across the board, politically, culturally, and I think we should strive as Sonoma County to make public places like the library feel safe and comfortable for all. And if a parent wants to hire a drag queen to go do a birthday party instead of a clown, that's their own business. But in a public entity, I think that, you know, we shouldn't have this type of thing. I don't think we should have white supremacist hour. I don't think we should have BLM hour. I don't think we should have straight hour. I don't think we should have gay hour. I think we should just treat everyone with kindness and treat everyone like humans and be inclusive and not follow this new status quo because we got some funding. Because, you know, I actually work for a local nonprofit and I work with foster children and kids and adoptive, and I work with a lot of nonprofit companies locally, and there's many amazing companies, as you all know, nonprofits, and there's so much trauma. Our kids, we could have, I don't know if you already have it, but safety with the internet, human trafficking safety, crossing the street safety, fire safety. Like there's, I don't know how exactly this is funded, I didn't get a chance to look into it, but there's so many things, amazing things that we can offer so everybody feels that. And then we can all bring our children there, whether you have gay parents or lesbian parents or transgender parents, and then we all don't feel like we're only hanging out with our own kids. You know, we can actually all get together and get to know everybody, and it could be safe again. Because I have 4 kids, and I haven't been to the public library in quite a long time, and I miss the days when I went on a field trip and took my kids to the library to get a library card. And I don't do that anymore. Because I, like what the last speaker said, I have no idea. I don't know if there's going to be, I have no idea. I honestly don't even know if there's going to be a naked person in the library, if there's going to be a pornography thing. I have no idea, that's what I feel. Because I just feel this is not about identity, this is about sexuality, and there's a fine line, and I just hope that there are some people in this room or on this board that have some say, that are brave enough to go with their gut and not just follow along with all of the other people on the board that may agree. Thank you.
Okay, seeing none, thank you very much for coming to the commission meeting. Our next item is announcements, and we also have to welcome our newest commissioner, and we have to welcome a commissioner who hasn't been here in person for a while. Welcome back, Commissioner Henry. Welcome, Mr. McMillan. How are you? Would you like to introduce yourself, or do you want to wait for that?
I can wait.
You sure?
We'll go for it.
Just say a few words about yourself.
What about you?
Okay, so my name is Sion, and I graduated college about a year ago in comparative pet literature.
Speak up, please.
I didn't plan on going to a grad school for Americans, and the answer is I'm actually figured I want some more than that experience and libraries in the meantime.
Well, we appreciate your being willing to commit to the commission. Thank you so much. And so, if you have questions, by all means, we both are here at a pretty robust meeting. So, I'll also let you know that we're going to be moving item 11.3 up after the resolution, which is next. So 11.3 is going to be item 5. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner
correct?
Elkin? No, that's fine. No, that's fine.
Lisa tells me what to do.
No, Commissioner Elkin has his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Elkin.
I am really having a hard time hearing the commissioners. I'm going to ask if everybody could please speak loudly and clearly and project yourself so that those of us who are on the Zoom can hear you. And I'm following the transcript also, but I'm not catching a lot of what's being said in the room.
Mike, can we turn it up?
No, if anything, Andy, if you can turn up your microphone a little, or your speakers on your computer a little bit at that point. It looks like you're on a laptop, and there's only so much projection we can do to a laptop.
Mike, I don't think I'm the only one who's having trouble, and I've got the speakers cranked up.
we will endeavor, can you hear me now? Commissioner Alves?
Yes, I can hear you, and that's what we need. We need people to project so that the mics will pick them up. Thank you.
Okay. I know we don't usually speak this loud, but let's try to do it this, so that we've got lots of people in the room and we've got lots of people at the table. Okay, all right. So we are moving on to, so welcome everybody. We are moving on to action item 4 by resolution, which is to honor Sarah Ortiz. She has been the chair of the Library Foundation for a number of years, and she has stepped down after really doing a remarkable job. So, who would like to read the resolution? Mr. Hauser?
I'll read the resolution.
Excellent.
Yay, Sarah! Oh, that's not part of it, excuse me. Whereas Sarah Ortiz joined the board of directors of Sonoma County Public Library Foundation in June 2017, was elected secretary in January 2018, and subsequently became the president in January 2019. Serving until June 2023, when her little gift appeared, and she realized that she had to actually pay attention to that child. Oh, that was fast. Whereas during her tenure as president, her tenacious and optimistic approach to leadership guided the foundation through a perfect storm of pandemic, fire, and flood, as well as the need for a changing role for the foundation itself. And whereas during a time of transition, the foundation provided key funding in the Sonoma County Library, including support for the summer reading program, the purchase of Chromebook laptops that library patrons could check out, and the expansion of Wi-Fi so patrons could access free Wi-Fi 24/7. And whereas Sarah led a team that positioned the foundation to take on a $3.6 million campaign to provide the collection, furniture, fixtures, and equipment for a new Roseland Regional Library, as well as prepare for subsequent fundraising needed system-wide. And whereas as a result of her kind approach and visionary guidance, the Sonoma County Public Library Foundation is now positioned as the Sonoma County Library's strong ally to deliver excellent service to the residents of Sonoma County. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sonoma County Library Commission celebrates Sarah Ortiz and commends her for her service to the communities of Sonoma County.
I'm going to take that as a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Green. And before we take a vote, do we have any public comments?
Hi, I'm Kat Kuda, and I'm the head of the Sonoma County Public Library Development Committee, and I'm here to thank you for acknowledging our wonderful leader who's taken us through such a long time. I wanted to remind the commissioners that the foundation will be having a little reception on June 24th in Santa Rosa, and I think you've gotten an invitation, but if you want, you can contact me at pkuta@sonic.net for more details and information. But we really hope to see you there to celebrate our wonderful Sarah. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other public comment, I am going to, any comments from the commission?
I just second everything that's been said about Sarah. She has plugged away and just been there constantly. She's shown up on Zoom meetings through the COVID. They've just been very consistent and very positive, unrelenting force for the foundation. Really appreciate her and the years that she's put in on behalf of the Sonoma County Library Commission. So thank you, Sarah. I can't see you, but I hear you there. Yes.
Okay, please, Heaven.
I'm Sarah Ortiz of the resolution. I just want to say I want to say thank you to the library. I am honored to be a library supporter, as I know so many people are. There are so many groups that support the library, and a shout out to you all, the Friends, the Commission, everybody who's ever bought a book at a book sale or attended a library event, and especially any donors to the Library Foundation. If you've ever given $1, then your donation matters, and thank you so much, because it's because of you that we've been able to do these great things and partner with the library. I'm honored to have been a part of the foundation, and I will continue to be a library supporter, just probably attending more story times and less meetings. It's been a little difficult the last 9 months. I just want to say thank you, and the library has really led the charge from the very beginning on so many issues, including your commission passing a resolution, I think in 2015, to support DACA kids, and leading the charge in inclusivity, and leading the charge in making sure that the library is a place for everyone. And I'm so honored to be a library supporter.
We'd also like to to thank your silent partner, your husband over there, who has lent you to us. We've had a motion and a second, so I'd like to get some approval. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin.
Yes, with enthusiasm.
Commissioner Lagos.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner McMillan.
Yes.
And I'll make it unanimous. And with that, we are going to move to our new item 5. This is the new property and casualty insurance renewal policy for Sonoma County Library. Is that right? Yes. Oh, you're so right. I'm so sorry since she's here. We're just going to give it to her. Yeah. Mr. Palmer, would you like to present it to her officially and we can take a picture? Or?
Well, I want to take a picture.
Oh, okay.
Erica Tredoyle, why don't we do that together? I'm the development director here.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. Cahill?
Thank you, Lisa. All right, on to property and casualty insurance.
Suzanne is going to present this item, and then we have representatives from NEPA here to answer your questions, Gail Dillon and Lacey Torkelson.
So, good evening, Commissioners. We have the proposal in front of, louder? Okay, I feel like I'm talking really loud. Okay, good evening, Commissioners. We are bringing this proposal to you to renew the property and workers' comp insurance and bundling it all into one package. Previously, we had renewed the liability and property in November, and it just seemed less redundant to have them renew with the workers' comp all in the fiscal year. So we made that decision last year. There has been some increases in the premium due to increased payroll and workers' comp, and then we realigned our values, reassessed our values and assets, and noticed that we were under-reporting them. So that's why you would see a higher premium, and that is pretty much what I have to report, unless you have any questions. And that's why I brought the brokers here to explain everything.
Any questions? any questions? Okay, I'm seeing shaking heads.
Fred has.
Commissioner
Fred
Ingber?
has.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Ingber.
Yes, two questions. One is it's actually a request. I'd like to see the claims that have been filed against our policy the last year, just to be able to have an idea of what the activity is as far as injuries and reports of injuries and lost property and damage and other things that might fall under the scope of the policy. As I raised last year, I think part of the process of looking at our policy should be looking at our risk assessments and deciding what we may be able to do as a commission to lower the risk of claims that are filed against the policy. My other question goes to process. A contract of this length, I think having the opportunity to review it before the meeting that we're being asked to approve it would be helpful, because we are supposed to be a deliberative body, and to get a document and then be asked to approve it the same day, I think is a little bit awkward and sort of interferes with the process of making a thorough evaluation. That's all.
Well, thank you for that. There are a couple of things too that, I mean, we can have a meeting with you to discuss it, since that date of a renewal is July 1st. I don't know that we could not approve it and then have a special meeting just to approve the policy. I think on a going forward basis, we could meet with you to have conversations regarding this, but we did vet out this process pretty thoroughly, and we do quarterly reviews with the claims, workers' comp claims, and also met with the CFO and the director to talk about, the mitigating efforts that we've done to reduce workers' comp claims. But one of the things that happens with this type of guaranteed cost model policy is that it's called the XMOD, which is a very complicated way of determining our premiums. And that's what happens when you're not a self-insured agency. So one of the things is that our workers' comp premium is not only determined based on payroll, which has increased, as you know, we've increased our staff, but it's also on claims that go back over the previous 3 years. So while we did well, and despite mitigating factors, we are rated with and this is one of the interesting things that happened in our discussion, our librarians and the libraries in general are put in a category with office professionals. So if we have claims that are higher than regular office workers, it will make our premiums go higher. Instead of, we should be classified, and we're having this argument with, but it's not something that they're going to have it inspected, but we should be in classes with like store workers who are doing shelving and things like that, not people that are sitting on their rears. But anyway, it is what it is. And so my answer to you is that I don't know how we could not approve this policy, because if we wait until next month, we won't have any insurance.
Well, that's why I think the waiting until the same commission meeting when we're going to be asked to approve it is sort of works against the role of the commission to be the source of accountability for I mean, it's the commission, it's the library in general that's liable for claims and for insurance and for these contracts. And I think that planning so that maybe the meeting before the meeting we're being asked to approve it would give us the opportunity to read it, review it, perhaps ask questions about it, all of it before the deadline. If it's planned that way. If we wait till the meeting before we have to get the approval, we're going to always be in a spot where we're going to be faced with what you're just raising about the thing as well. We can't consider it a review because there's not the time that it has to be reviewed by the.
They
I'm sorry, Commissioner Ingers, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Commissioner Elton, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. My understanding from reading this is that Newfront Insurance is our broker, and as such, you have access to shop our policy to a large number of providers. And it looks to me that in our packet on page 164, page 7 of your section, that you did in fact summarize the different companies that you had shopped our policy to. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'm just going to comment then, because having gone through this process, you know, on my own for our insurance, if you have confidence in the insurance broker, as we do, and if they've reached out to a large number of top-rated companies, as they have, then I'm struggling to understand why this would not be the best policy available to us. So I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Any other commission comments? Commissioner Hauser?
I understand what Fred Engbarth is saying, that it would be nice to have more time to look at this. I think we're under the gun right now. I think we need to put this on a possible policy list where important issues get 2 readings instead of just 1 reading. I think that would be a really good idea. There are a lot of kind of governmental activity things that we could be doing that way. And the other thing is, I'd like to have some information about whether it's possible to get into a self-insured pool, whether that would be advantageous. I know they exist, but I know nothing about them other than the fact that the city of Sonoma is in one, and that's it. So you don't have to respond to that now. This is a future issue. I'm more than willing to go forward with the vote on the proposal we have.
Okay, just to answer your second question, we did have in our meeting that on a go-forward basis, we talked about all of the other things that we can do to make sure that this information does get to the commission earlier in the future. And that was one of the strategy decisions that Erica, Myrna, and I had with the broker, so that, because it has come up that this just comes too late. So we'll make sure that we definitely get it so that it has at least 2 readings, you know, or at least 2 readings, so that you don't get it so late. So thank you for that.
Additional commission comments? Commissioner Cahill?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with moving ahead. I trust the people we've hired. I trust the professional staff to do a good job working through this highly technical area, which I don't pretend to have a thorough knowledge of. I used to be a lawyer, but that doesn't mean I understand everything that's in fine print. We had a chance to look through the work, and I'm satisfied, and I think we should go ahead tonight.
I'm going to call that a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Okay, seeing none, then I'm going to call the question. We are going to just, would you, since you moved, would you read the draft motion, please?
Sure. I move that the Sonoma County Library Commission authorize the library director to execute the agreement with Newfront Insurance Company to provide property, liability, workers' compensation, auto, umbrella, directors and officers and employment practices liability insurance coverage for the period July 1st, 2023 through July 1st, 2024.
Wonderful. We have a second from Commissioner Goldberg. All right. And no public comments. Commissioner, I'm going to take the vote. Commissioner Cahill?
Yes.
Commissioner Ingvar?
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Commissioner Penzi? Yes. Commissioner Heavenridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Alpin?
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos?
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Yes.
Commissioner McMillan?
Yes.
And I'll make it unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll look forward
Thank
to
you.
additional conversation. All right. And now we're going to have a presentation on Education Initiative 2023. That must include summer reading. No?
We made the decision to present about summer reading at a later meeting
There we go.
when we have more data to share.
You're gonna make us all tell us what we're reading, right?
Yes, I am.
I know.
Just kidding. Hello, Commissioners, Chair Doyle. My name is Kathy DeWeese. I am the Youth Services Administrator, and I'm happy, pleased to be able to introduce Rachel. I'm pleased to introduce Rachel Akaza, who's our Education Initiatives Librarian. Every couple of years, we come to you and we share a presentation that talks about the different education initiatives that we have in the county. Education, supporting K-12 education, adult education, early literacy education, those are big initiatives in Sonoma County Library per our reimagining plan. And the last time we presented to you, there was a few new faces here since the last time we presented to you. And the last time, it was a couple of years ago, we were in the middle of the pandemic, and what we were really presenting about was how we had changed our programs, procedures, et cetera, to really address that kind of virtual shift, pivot, to be able to meet educational needs during the pandemic. Well, we have moved out of that phase. We have a lot of exciting things coming up, and I'm really excited for Rachel to be able to share some of those with you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Akaza, Education Initiatives Librarian for Sonoma County Library. I've worked for Sonoma County Library for 18 years. I started in the very basement at Central, learning everything as I was in library school, and here I am in my dream job. Yes,
We're just
Commissioner
gonna
Doyle.
pause. I'm gonna say, Commissioner Elkin, can you hear?
I can hear perfectly well when people are speaking at the microphone. It's really the commissioners around the table that I've had issues with. Rachel, you're doing great. Please continue. Thank you.
Thank you for checking. I want everyone to hear my message, so thank you very much. As I was saying, I get to do my dream job by working with educators and students of all ages around the county, and I want to share with you all tonight some of the things that I've been up to with support of Kathy DeWeese and our wonderful youth services librarians. This slide just gives you an overview of what we're going to talk about: educational engagement, the whole ecosystem of education in the county, learning tools and instruction, do a lot of different ways of bringing instruction tools into the classroom, the educator card and the student one card. Those two products are really very powerful tools. Our work with juvenile hall and alternative education, career online high school, and the summer lunch at the library program. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So the overarching effort in our educational initiatives is about relationship building. We really want to have a conduit back and forth between the library and the schools, the library and the faculty, the professionals in our buildings who work with youth, and parents and students. And we do that in a variety of ways. We learned this during the pandemic to do virtual class presentations, and we continue to do that when it fits. We also have been doing a lot more in-person library and campus visits, so that means when the classrooms come to our buildings and when we go to the classroom. Our wonderful bibliobus, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, there's a picture covered by some of our commissioners, but there's a photo there of our bibliobus all set up for a school visit. Those kind of boxes in the foreground, those are seating that we bought with grant funding, and I don't never want to live without those seating benches again, because they make visiting schools so easy. We bring story time to the school, we bring the bibliobus full of material, and we check out books to kids and teach them how to use the library. It's really fun. And then the other photo there is of one of our wonderful children's librarians reading to kids as they wait their turn to go into the bus. So building relationships as much as we can, both in the classroom, in the library buildings, and on site. So I don't know if anyone has gone into our online resources tab lately, but if you count, there are 92 online learning tools in our library databases. So part of our work is to make sure that schools and teachers and parents know how to use those tools in order to help the kids reach their educational goals. So part of how we do that is through a series called the Student Success Tutorials, and those are video with narration and written instructions in English and Spanish
for our most popular learning tools. Things like Libby, Hoopla, Discover, and Go is not included because it can't be used in the classroom, but that's one that we've been asked to do quite often. In addition to our tutoring services, we've had tutor.com for quite a while. It's a live one-on-one tutoring service that's online. We added Help Now by Brainfuse this year. So that's an additional tutoring tool for families and parents and everyone to use. It's for all ages. So there's, again, 92 different databases, but these are the highlights. And this tutorial series is a great place for instruction on how to use those tools with your Student One card. So we have in the county just about 3,500 classroom educators in public schools. And we love to go to their campuses and do professional development training with them. And one of the activities we do is sign up as many educators in the room as who want to get an educator card. It's a special account that works as a partner to their regular card, and it gives educators an ability to check out more material for longer, and we have built-in forgiveness of lost or missing items when they take those items into the classroom. We looked really carefully a few years ago at the barriers to library service for educators and said, let's create a product that really pulls the pickets down the fence between the library and the school. And the educator card, I always say, is kind of like the dynamite. You put it in the fence and it blows the barrier away because there's so much that teachers can access with it for the classroom. There's a grid there that tells you how many educator accounts we have, which is just shy of 2,500. And then the second line says total number authenticated. That means how many accounts have actually been used, who went online to a database, who checked out a book in the library. And then the last line is the number of items checked out on all educator accounts to date. And that's as of October 2022, the last time I pulled data. So at this point, it would be a little more than all the numbers you see there. So we're always building relationships with educators through access to material and engagement, teaching them how to use our resources. Teachers always say, oh, this is a great tool for us. Thank you for bringing the educator card to my staff meeting. But what about my students? They always turn right to their students. They want access for their students, and so do we. This grid shows you how many school districts are enrolled in our Student One Card program. Student One Card allows students to use their student ID numbers to use the online catalog to find material for class assignments when they visit the library with their class to check out a book. Using the self-checkout machine or to get help with staff. You'll see on the pie charts there, the top one is the percentage of students around the county that are enrolled in this program. So you'll see that 82% of all public students enjoy a Student One Card account. And the bottom pie chart shows we have 25 of the 38 school districts enrolled, and we have 13 yet to partner with. That does not mean that we haven't been trying for years. It just means for whatever reason we haven't been able to make that partnership happen yet. But we do have long-term marketing with the districts that we're partnered with posters and training and education in the classroom to teach the kids how to use their Student One Card for their educational goals. Moving on to juvenile hall and alternative education, I've had the great privilege to visit juvenile hall every month since 2020 to do a book club. During the pandemic and times of staff shortage out at Los Gilicos, I've done book club virtually with the fellas out there. They are voracious readers. They often, several of the guys have personal reading goals of 100 books a year, and they always exceed that. The list given there are the titles that we're reading this year. I just visited them last week and we talked about the book that we read, and I gave them the book for next month, and they're just such a lovely group of guys. Lots of them are college students working on their college credits there at Los Gilicos. We were able to have a virtual visit with an author in January where they all read the book, and then we got to have a virtual visit with the author. Very excitedly, we have passed an agreement and a memorandum of understanding between Juvenile Hall and Sonoma County Library that allows us to hire a librarian for the first time in history for Los Gilicos. That is a shared role between Sonoma County Library and Los Gilicos, but That person will work 20 hours a week out at our juvenile hall, which is more hours than any juvenile hall that I could find. I'm gonna let that land because that's a lot of hours. Most halls do not have someone more than 2 or 3 hours a month. We will have 20 hours a week. So we're really excited about that. Alternative education, sometimes people think, oh, is that like continuation high school? It is not. It's a different part of support services for kids. And the Santa Rosa site for alternative education is called Amarosa Academy. It's a wonderful site with a great dedicated staff. And they tend to have the teen parents and their kids go to school together. They have a preschool on site, and then their teen parents can attend classes there. There's a variety of students that go to Amarosa, but we've had a great relationship with them for years. And we did take the Bibliobus there this year and had all the preschoolers come out with their parents to check out books, had story time. It was a lovely time. Looking forward to increasing our engagement with them. Career Online High School. This is a very exciting program that we have here at Sonoma County Library. This is part of a partnership with the State Library where we have shared scholarships for adults who are earning their high school diplomas online in their own time. Just recently here in this room, we had our second annual graduation of 3 students who worked very hard to complete their high school diploma with us. In the whole time of this program existing in Sonoma County Library, we've had 14 people finish. And it says at the very bottom bullet point that we've awarded 43 scholarships. So there's a disparity there. 43 scholarships awarded and 14 people finished. That means that this program is difficult. It is not for everyone. It takes a lot of time and dedication and support. And what I have done since I took over the program and was really through Measure Y funding, have the time to dedicate to this program is a lot of hand-holding, a lot of support, talking to them about their technology needs and supporting them with hotspots, and we're working on a laptop program as well. So I think I want to point out what that says, that 43 scholarships given and 14 graduates is not a failure. That just is evidence that high school is hard and being an adult student is hard. The picture given there, that's our wonderful student speaker from last year, Shamra. She was just a really wonderful, inspiring person. She brought her sister into this program, so her sister is now a student. And that's very common with this program. We have a learner share their experience with a family member, and they also get involved. Right now we have 17 students, which is the most that we've ever had at any given time, and we're on track to have 4 people graduate for the next year's ceremony in 2024. So I'm very excited about that. And last but not least is what is very heavily on my plate right this moment, which is our summer lunch at the library program. Very exciting, lots of things going on here. We've had this grant opportunity through the state library since 2015. It comprises ways that the library can support community meals that are available to kids and families. And we bring summer reading to those community meal sites. The kids are already there enjoying their lunches that are free from the food bank with money from the USDA and the Department of Education. But we come and we bring the fun. We bring the jump ropes and the active play and the craft kits and the free books and the summer reading logs and all the things that we love about summer reading. Additionally, we have meals in the library. This room that we're sitting in will have meals served in it Monday through Friday, starting Monday. So if you're in the neighborhood and you want to come and check it out, please do. 7 of our libraries will be serving meals to their communities this summer. And if you're curious about where that is, go on our library website and you'll see all the different locations. Any questions? That was the lightning round. I could talk for hours about my job. I'm very passionate about it, but if anyone has any questions.
Commissioner Kennedy.
I would just like to applaud you and all that you do, and the complexity of these programs and the amount of shifting back and forth between the things that you must have to do. These are all significant, they're all major, they become bigger and bigger at Juvenile Hall. I think we're all really proud of that, and obviously very supportive of it. And I had a question, but I think what I just really like to say is thank you, because you're just leading the library's whole segment of education in a very positive way, and I know it's a heavy lift, and you did a great job, and thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much. anyone who does have questions or you want to chat about my work or anything about it, my contact sheet was on my slides for a reason. I would really encourage commissioners in particular to come to lunch at the library, see the magic on the ground as it happens. And next year, if you can, attend graduation for Career Online High School. Thank you.
I think maybe I've said this before, but when Lunch at the Library started in California, it started as a tiny, tiny grant for the California Library Association. And it was from the Hewlett or the Packard Foundation, I can't remember which one it was. And the California Library Association hung on to this and clung to it because they knew it was so important. And so librarians now all over the country, I think it would be wonderful if we didn't have to feed hungry children during the day. But if we do have to feed hungry children during the day, the librarians who are certainly in the library staff are the ones that are making it happen and have made it happen. So applaud to Rachel and applaud to seeing no other hands up, we are going to go to library reports.
Hello. So I do want to speak a little bit about Summer Lunch at the Library because it's something that we are really happy to provide. One of the things that food pantries have noticed, especially during the pandemic, with the cost of food increasing due to inflation, food pantries are actually seeing double and even triple the number of people coming for food. So in California, children are entitled to a free breakfast and free lunch at their school, regardless of their income status. And during the summer, with school not being open, it becomes an urgent issue for some families. So having this available to our communities is something that we're really happy to provide. So for my report, I think the one thing I really want to highlight is, we've provided these statistics regarding the Parks Pass program. And I just want to say there are 1,127 libraries in California, and we are fifth. We are fifth in the number of state parks passes circulation. I think that's a real achievement, and it really speaks to the love of the great outdoors that we all have here and the abundance of our parks and our recreational opportunities. So I'm really happy to see these statistics. You'll also see that we are 5 in terms of the number of holds. When this program first started, we had a huge list of holds, and the state library asked us, do you want more? And we said yes, and I think we asked for 700. And I think at this point we have about 500 in circulation. So we asked for 700, they gave us 500, but they are still in high demand. So, and we're also this summer have our grant with the state parks to do field trips from Roseland and Sonoma Valley Library to Sugarloaf State Park. That is another initiative by the state library. So that's my report. Any questions?
Any questions? Commissioner McKenzie.
A comment and a question. First of all, there's so much going on all the time, so thank you for this report, and thanks to all the staff that are involved in so many things. I'm talking really loud. I noticed that we're holding really steady on about a third of our circulation is digital and 2/3 is books. I'm kind of surprised by that, with all the digital offerings that we continue to offer. It's just kind of really interesting to me. And it says that people still like to come into the library, they like the feel of books and exploring books and discovering books. So it's just an interesting comment. And then my question is that the funding outreach van that that's part of that whole summer thing. Do we have plans yet for how we're going to use that van after the summer?
So we will be able to use it for outreach. Right now, the BiblioBus is our main outreach vehicle, but because of its size, it's not always the optimal vehicle to take to some of the more remote areas of our county where maybe the streets are not as well paved. And so the van is a little more nimble and will allow the outreach team to go to those areas. We're also hoping to use it for our own field trips. We're building a new library, and we've been visiting library systems throughout the Bay Area to look at their buildings. Also, the Open Plus, we had a group of staff
go to that San Jose to look at their, talk to their staff. We're going to be going to San Francisco, I think, in July, to talk to their kind of career workforce development folks and tour their libraries. So, you know, we will be using it both for public outreach as well as for staff education.
Any other questions, comments? Very busy, thank you. Mr. Holly, do you have anything to add to the publicity or the library news?
I do not.
Thank you. Budget and financial reports. Do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. We're doing really well. We're on track with our revenues. On our expenditures, we will have some savings under services and supplies.
Did you say that at the microphone, just so that?
Just to summarize the financial reports as of April 30th, 2023, is that the library is on track in terms of revenues for the end of the year targets. Under expenditures, we will be having savings, as you know, in our capital expenditures, as well as services and supplies, but we are well within our budget appropriation.
Any questions? Commission and liaison reports. Does anybody have anything to add to their commissioner reports? Mr. Taylor, are you heading for the microphone or are you heading for the door?
Heading for the door.
Okay.
So that I would speak up if I.
Thank you. Thank you. I will add something to my chair report, and that is that several of us, I and several of the staff attended the California Library Association conference last week. And while last year was the first one that was in person for a while, this one had lots and lots of energy. And Erica and Craig gave a presentation, Ray and I gave a presentation to the library director about book banning. There were other presentations by some of the other staff, and it was really a terrific opportunity. So if you ever get an opportunity to go to a regional library conference or one of the state library conferences, I would encourage you to do so, especially the newer commissioners. The next one, sadly, the state conference is not going to be until 2024 November in Pasadena. But there are going to be some regional things. But there are usually, in addition to library staff, there are also trustees and commissioners and friends groups that are there. So it's a really great experience. And I believe the American Library Association next year is going to be in San Diego. So there are possibilities of those kind of things. But the presentation that we did on book banning was it was a large room and it was full. And no one left because those kinds of things are happening in California in addition to happening elsewhere in the country. And so we all have to be mindful of censorship. It's an important thing. And intellectual freedom is one of the cornerstones of democracy, we think. So we are going to continue to explore those things and to talk to the community about them. All right, we've got committee and liaison reports. Commissioner Elkin, anything to add to your finance report?
Yes, there is something I would like to add, please, Chair Doyle. For those of you who looked at the financial reports that were appeared earlier in the packet, I think you saw something unusual, which was you saw a complete itemization of a line item called Other Contract Services. Some questions had been raised at an earlier meeting about this category, and even though it only represents about 2% of our $40+ million budget, we did take the unusual step of asking Myrna and her team to provide us with a complete itemization of those expenses so that we could take a look at them. And we did. And I think that all of us on the Finance Committee left feeling very comfortable that the expenses were quite appropriate and necessary for the ongoing functioning of the library. And that even though a number of different kinds of contract items are included in that single line item, in fact, I think we all came away with a higher degree of confidence in the financial controls and in the thoughtful expenditure of library funds. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Thanks so much, Commissioner Alpern. Any questions on any of those reports? All right, then we are going to move into item, it is item 9 now, since we rearranged things. The Library Advisory Board appointments. Commissioner Engelbarth, would you like to begin with the Sebastopol appointments?
Sure. I'd like to move the appointment, the reappointment of Mary Schiff and Helena Whistler to the Library Advisory Board, and the appointment of a new member, Tong Lee Jin, to the Library Commission, to the lab, rather, than that. So, and Mr. Tong Lee Jin's summary of his background is attached to the motion.
Thank you. I think I hear a second.
A second.
All right, any comments? Hearing none, then we are going to take the roll. Naturally, put my list away. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Engelbarth.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. McKenzie.
Yes.
Mr. Heavenridge.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Alpin.
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos.
Yes.
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. McMillan.
Yes.
And I will make it unanimous. Healdsburg. Commissioner Elkin, do you want to discuss the reappointment?
Well, I would like to move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission reappoint Rebecca Simons to an advisory position on the Healdsburg Library Advisory Board with a term ending June 30, 2027. I'll just add that Becky has been a wonderful and active library supporter for many years and has served previously with both the Friends and most recently on the lab, where she has been president, and just a wonderful asset, committed to the library and everything that we do. And I would be very grateful if you would reappoint her.
A second.
I second it.
Thank you. Any comments? Any questions? Hearing none, we're going to take the roll. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Engelbarth.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. McKenzie.
Yes.
Mr. Heavenridge.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Alpin.
Yes.
Mr. Lagos.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner McMillan.
Yes.
And I will make it unanimous. And we thank them all for their service. And they're about to be service. What would that word be?
Service.
Perspective. Future. There we are.
Okay.
Oh, it'll come later. 10, we are down to the Library Advisory Boards, the Foundation and Friends of the Library. Do we have any official representatives? No. All right. Then we're going to move down to this consent calendar. These matters include routine financial and administrative actions that may be approved by consensus. Any commissioner member or member of the public may request that an item be removed from the calendar and have it placed with the action items. The commission will approve the minutes of the prior meetings in summary format. So our only item is, in fact, the approval of the minutes of the May meeting.
I'd like to move approval of the consent calendar, but I'd like to ask one question.
All right.
What are these new numbers next to them?
Oh, If you watch the video of the commission, you will find, is that right? You will find this section at that number.
It's a timestamp
Right.
for the recording.
So we finally have these.
It shows up in a different format. Anyway, this is an easier way for the timestamp to show up in the minutes.
And Commissioner McKenzie has been asking this for a long time. So, there we go. So you've moved, do we have a second? Commissioner Green, seconded. Any comments? Great. Commissioner Cahill?
Yes, what?
We're going to, sorry, we're
Yes.
approving.
Yes,
Yes,
minutes,
we're approving. Commissioner Ingber?
Okay.
Commissioner Ingber?
If you ask, it's, for me, I abstained because I was not present at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie? Yes. Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin?
I'm also going to abstain because I was not present and did not have a chance to review the video.
Commissioner Lagos?
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Yes.
I will not ask you to push the button because you were not here either. And I will make it, let's see. Lisa, you got the vote numbers, but it's unanimous, except for some abstentions. All right. Action items by motion. We are down to 12.1. The approval of the revised proposed fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. And we have been talking about this since even before April, so we're going to walk through it one more time.
So is this on? It's on. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm happy to present the revised.
Could you get closer to the microphone? Just
Oh,
so
sure.
the-
Okay, sorry.
Bless your heart.
I'm happy to present the revised fiscal year 23-24 proposed budget after you have heard a presentation of it at your April 4th budget workshop. This budget, as it's presented today, includes actions approved subsequently to the budget workshop, actions that you took in April and in May. The reimagining plan sets the priorities for fiscal year 2024 budget. The important elements that were incorporated in formulating the budget include steady major revenue sources, the Major Y ordinance and expenditure plan with the ongoing implementation of the allocation of major revenues policy, fiscal efficiencies, applying best practices by evaluating costs and adjusting the budgets to better reflect expenditures, specifically under benefits and services and supplies, which all help to close the operating deficit under property tax fund. We have a new community engagement division and ongoing Sunday hours at all branches, and that continue to be paid 100% by Measure Y at the 11 new branch hours. A new budgeting procedure for capital expenditures for improved financial reporting that was presented at the budget workshop, and initiate the process for incorporating a 5-year forecast in future budget developments. We continue to be mindful of external factors that impact our revenues and overall operations, such as economic conditions. While some economic indicators continue to look healthy, economic reports have stated that the economy will grow at a slower rate than in the last few years. It is important to remain watchful of financial markets and stay nimble in order to respond to uncertain times. Natural disasters. Most recently, we experienced a heavy rainy season. And we are now
Please be aware that the public restrooms will be closed in 20 minutes at 10 minutes before 8.
And now we are entering into the wildfire season. In addition, COVID-19 variants are still with us, and we need to continue to monitor illness as they impact employee absences. State and federal leaves for this particular issue have expired, and employees and employers are left with traditional time off. The library will continue to monitor economic indicators and revenues very closely in the upcoming months. The key highlights for fiscal year 2024 are that the total budget for the entire fiscal year is $51.4 million. This is $2.5 million in new revenue. It includes 231.85 FTE, or full-time equivalent positions. This is new funding for 3 new FTE under the Community Engagement Division, 1 FTE for Human Resources, and 0.5 FTE for the Juvenile Hall Library Services. And overall, this is over 300 people or employees. The total appropriations or expenditures is $45.6 million, which reflects the new capital budget expenditure. 1/3 of the capital is appropriated at this time. And it also includes, as I mentioned, actions that impacted fiscal year 24, the Lunch at the Library grant, and the MOU to provide library services at Juvenile Hall that were approved by the Commission. After review of expenditure trends, found savings to close the operating deficit. And in the next slide are the components of revenue and expenditures. Total revenue is $43.6 million. It's a combination of property tax, sales tax, donations, as well as intergovernmental revenues. Due to the new capital budgeting procedure, the total appropriations is $45.6 million, which draws $2.8 million from the fund balance to pay for capital projects. Later in the year, we will draw down an additional $5.7 million from committed capital fund balance. I will cover the capital procedure in greater detail in the next slide. The total expenditures after all appropriations will be $51.4 million for the entire budget year. As discussed at the budget workshop and in the transmittal memo, the total capital budget is $8.6 million. This includes funds rolled over from fiscal year 2023. When fiscal year 2023 closes, the funds from the Petaluma and Healdsburg and other ongoing capital projects will be available for spending in fiscal year 2024. The new procedure delineates that as of July 1, 2023, 1/3 of the capital budget is appropriated at this time. This is $2.8 million, or 1/3 of $8.6 million. The rest of the capital budget is placed under committed fund balance. And on October 1st, staff will provide the first status report of capital projects and request an additional appropriation of $2.8 million from committed funds for a total of $5.7 million that will have been released for spending. By January 4th, 2024, staff will again provide a status report to the Commission of capital projects and request an additional appropriation of $2.8 million from committed funds. A total of $8.6 million will have been released at this time. With the January appropriation, if all remains as planned, the appropriations total at that time will be $51.4 million. In this slide, we show where the funding goes. It goes to people, places, and resources. The lion's share of the budget goes to people, salary and benefits, $28.56 million, or 55% of expenditures. Resources are services and supplies and the contingency fund for $14.22 million, or 28% of the budget. Places, these are the capital projects like branch refreshes and other capital projects for a total of $8.62 million, or 17% of expenditures, which are a total of $51.4 million for the year. Funding dedicated to branches is 78% of the operating budget. This includes 66% to public services and community engagement, and 12% for the supporting services, which include facilities, IT, collections and acquisitions, and communications. Administration is 22%, and those are the executive services, budget and accounting, and human resources. In terms of FTE, about 212 FTE, or 90% of the total FTE, are allocated to direct or in support of the branches. Funding sources are property tax, sales tax, gifts and donations, and the fund balance. The total funding sources are $53.2 million, with the use of fund balance of $9.6 million. Another important component of the budget is the allocation of major revenue sources policy. The policy calls for calculating the property tax and sales tax percentage of the total tax revenue. Rounded, property tax is 60% and sales tax is 40%. Here we show the allocation of these revenues more like expenditures. Service-oriented division expenditures are allocated 60% to property tax and 40% to sales tax. Administration division expenditures are allocated 90% to property tax and 10% to sales tax. There are exceptions as discussed in the memo, and these include the Sunday hours that are allocated 100% to Measure Y under the Public Services Division. When Measure Y went before the voters, expanded hours on weekends was identified as an important measure of increasing access to the libraries. Workers' comp, retiree reimbursements, OPEB, and the contingency fund support the entire workforce and are allocated 60% to property tax and 40% to sales tax, as they support the entire workforce or cannot be allocated to a specific division. I like to illustrate numbers in graphs, and this graph captures the allocation ratios as discussed in the previous table. The fund balance is an accumulation over years of budget surpluses. The fund balance policy provides direction on how these funds can be used. The estimated available fund balance by the end of fiscal year 24 is $8.6 million under property tax and $6.6 million under sales tax. After using the $8.6 million for the capital projects budget in this budget year, The library is estimated to have a grand total of $15.3 million available fund balance for budgeting. And this also represents fully funding the stabilization fund and the reserves for IT facilities and the multi-year capital improvement fund. The goals we are going to achieve in fiscal year 2024 are to continue to sustain library hours at all branch locations made possible by Measure Y, continue the allocation of major revenue sources policy, eliminate the operation deficit through fiscal efficiencies, create a community engagement division, launch a new innovation fund, create a contingency fund, implement the new capital fund budgeting procedures, and increase reporting for information technology and facilities, and started the 5-year forecast review with the Finance Committee for future budget years. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your contributions, and I'll take any questions.
Thanks very much. First though, because we're gonna be here for a little bit, if anybody needs to use the restroom, why don't we take a 5-minute break and so people can use the restrooms, come back, we're gonna talk about the, thank you.
And we have cake for Commissioner Goodrich.
Well, you can,
I know. Yes, I brought cake because Bob is here. And we're very excited about that cake. No, it's just nice to have you. It's a little cake.
Here I am.
Yeah, they're just taking a brief break. They have a big turnout of people to talk about the draft.
Let's get Commissioners, please join us at the table. Are we recording? Yes. We are. All right. You're not? So, Commissioners, yes, who has questions for Commissioner McKenzie? Although wait, before I ask you, I'm going to ask if there's commissioners who are not on the finance committee have questions. To me. And actually, I think I'm going to ask for public comment before I ask for commission comments. So, are there any public comments on the budget? Going once? Going twice? All right, are there any commission comments? And questions? Commissioner McKenzie?
I'm waiting to wait. I mean, no one else. Okay.
We've got a quorum. Wait, although, where's Erica? Oh, so sorry.
I would like her to be here.
Yeah, okay. Then we're going to pause, I'm afraid. and do this. Sorry about that.
I can talk about my hospital experience.
Do you want to go through your comment? Did you, there are goodies over there for you?
I see. I heard that. Oh, we have it. Yeah, just on the screen. Thank you.
Director
Yes.
out there?
Yes, she is. She's talking to the group.
Okay, fabulous, thank you. Are they, I want.
Thank you
Well,
for,
I
if you
believe.
really would like to hear something started by the 64 to 65.
All right. I asked for public comments about the budget, got nobody, so we're moving to commission questions and comments. And Commissioner McKenzie, you want to do yours? And you can start the recording again, thank you. There you go. Okay. Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes, thank you for a very complete and beautifully prepared budget document. Again, I think we all really appreciated how you presented in April at our workshop. My specific questions.
A reminder to speak up.
This is really loud.
Okay.
We've got to have microphones. Where are the microphones?
So the microphones will be coming in September, because of the, it's a 8 to 12 week order process.
But where are they now? Are they up there?
Up on the wall.
Okay, so I can't yell that way. And talk for you.
Speaking of Zoom.
Okay, so I'd like to refer to page 93. I'm gonna get it. I have it in my book. And this is the capital projects that we're entering into by adopting this budget. In April, when I talked about the priorities for our capital projects, I referenced the facilities master plan and the fact that there's nothing in here. It describes all of the issues, but it doesn't say what order we should do things in. And then I started using the term priority project list. What are our priorities? How do we go through this book and say this is first, this is second, this is third? And then there's a reference in our budget to the priorities that was in the May packet. And so I pulled my May packet, and I have to say this got by me. I didn't realize that this was meant to be what I had asked for, which is, where's Windsor on the list, where's, whatever. What this one refers to is project ranking for the things that we're already talking about. And you can see Rohnert Park is on there, but this isn't a refresh for Rohnert Park. This is just a lighting project, for example. Windsor's not on here, Sebastopol's not on here. Sebastopol, playing that big meeting here for Sebastopol and all that kind of stuff. So when we look at the document at page 93, we see we're going to finally do Petaluma. We're working on Healdsburg. Cloverdale's next, and that's largely driven because of a donation for the patio, and at the same time, I guess we're doing the restroom, which is a good idea. Next comes Rankin Valley for $2.2 million at Santa Rosa Library. After that comes Central, a $5 million refresh, also a Santa Rosa Library. And the H&G, which is the library's building work, so that for $1.5 million. Next is Rohnert Park, and that's just again for lighting. I don't know what HVAC is, because Rohnert Park bought an HVAC system a couple of years ago. Pay for it. That's it. So my question again is still, I'm worried about these large expenditures, where the priority came from, that 2 Santa Rosa libraries are next, because we are a joint powers agreement. We are supposed to be representing all the partners. There are some partners supposed to go get grants to get this covered, but we're going to be putting up in the $7.2 million for 2 Santa Rosa libraries. And it's not that they don't need them, but there are a lot of needs throughout the system. So I'm still concerned that we really haven't addressed what order are we doing things in. I completely understand and appreciate how you're talking about allocating the money because it makes a lot of sense and, to dole it out in 3 chunks. But this is a different question that I'm really asking. Roanoke Park is just about to have its 20-year anniversary this month. This is a 20-year-old building. It's showing its age in certain ways. It's not even on the list. I mean, we don't even know when that might happen. So this was my mistake of just seeing this last time and seeing this as the priority list was incomplete. And so I just want to say that I know that staff will come back to us with a better list. I'm sure you will. But I'm concerned that by adopting this budget, we're saying the next 2 and very large amounts of money that we're going to be spending are to Santa Rosa libraries. It doesn't seem equitable in terms of the joint powers agreement, looking at the joint powers agreement. And then lastly, my question is, are we going to spend these kinds of funds on a library that, when there's no lease in place? Are we even going to start the project?
So I think in the last meeting, we did talk about this. The main reason for having Lincoln Valley and Central is it's really the buildings need these. The buildings need this. As I said, Central Library has had no significant renovation, and it was built in 1966. So it really does need it. Lincoln Valley, the same way, has not had any significant renovations since it was built. It's 30 years old. And it's really based upon the need. But as I also said, we are going to be hiring a company to do a capital improvement plan. I have 1 quote, I need 2 more in order to move forward with that. I'm waiting for Dave to come back. He should be back next week, and we can move forward with getting those additional quotes. And that firm will give us a list of priorities and will help us identify what our projects will be in the future. But like I said, I would say that Santa Rosa deserves some love too. And those buildings are old and they need a lot of improvements. And and they are in condition that they really do need to be renovated. I don't know where Roanoke Park will fall on the list. As you said, what we have in here is really for the lighting controls. It's still a fairly modern building. It's the most modern of all of our facilities. And until we have that capital improvement plan, I won't be able to answer, more detailed questions.
Well, so following up, are we going to require these to be in place before we spend any of this money on Santa Rosa?
We're still working with City of Santa Rosa on the leases. We have a meeting in the next couple of weeks regarding that. And the same with Healdsburg. We have a meeting at the end of June to get a lease in place for that location as well.
Thank you. And then just one last follow-up part of this whole wax. When we're spending these large amounts of money and allocating them for this budget process, will there be money left in the uncommitted balances to spend these kinds of amounts on the other jurisdictions?
As you can see in the fund balance section, which is page 95, currently there is this statement. This is the statement of special fund activity, and what is committed here is enough to cover the projects in the current budget that's before you, and so you will, like I stated earlier, there is a total of over $15 million still available for budgeting. And at the Finance Committee in May, I presented a forecast that showed what potentially we could continue to invest in capital projects. So at this time, I just want to make sure the commission is clear that given the fund balance policy and the way we've been implementing it, the fund balance is what's paying for capital projects.
Mr. Kane.
Yeah, Lisa, can we have the previous? Yeah, page down a little bit here. Yeah, thanks. My concern is that if you look at new requests for fiscal '24, we're only spending $350,000 on Central, not the $5 million total. Ditto with Lincoln Valley. I'm comfortable with that, and Roanoke Park is set for $350,000 also in this coming fiscal year. But my point is the same point I made last, and I'll raise it every time the commissioner from Roanoke Park raises this issue. This is a bad way of doing prioritization. It should not be essentially a pork barrel for commissioners to lobby for their particular constituencies. It should be done by neutral criteria, and I think that's what this staff has done. So I support the budget as submitted.
Commissioner Hauser, on that.
I have a question about these $350,000 fiscal year '24 expenditures for Cloverdale and Lincoln Valley. They look to me like placeholders that you really aren't sure what's going to happen. You're just throwing a figure in there. What is the $350,000 going to do for each of these?
At this time, as you know, when you identify a project, there's several steps before construction can happen. And at this time, these funds primarily are for the discovery and not even design. It's just reviewing the space and getting ideas of what needs to be done more specifically and what can be done.
My next question is.
One more, and then we've got another question.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Cloverdale. We have a cost of $650,000. Is that the entire project, part of which is paid by the donation, or is that just our part of whatever's going to happen?
I believe the donation is, I think we have it in the report that was in May, and there was, let's see if it says how much was donated.
Well, my question is the Cloverdale project should be more than $650,000, and so the donation is part of that $650,000, and all we're putting into it is $350,000. A lot of library funds.
I believe that the $650,000 is the projected cost for the project, and I want to say it's around $400,000 for Cloverdale. That was the bequest.
Thank you.
The Cloverdale Commissioner may know. Can you jump out there if you've got information?
You know, I thought I did. I thought I knew what the request was, and I'm not going to speak to it now because now that you say that, I'm not sure that the information has that.
And Bush Mulder.
Well, I just wanted to say that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Sarah probably has more.
I was gonna just say that the bequest for the Cloverdale Library from the private donor is $300,000.
Thank you.
I just want to say that, sort of echoing what Commissioner Cagle said, it seems to me in reading everything I have gotten from everybody in terms of the facilities report, the long-term, all that professionals are figuring out what the need is countywide, and it seems to me that it's logically coming up with an order of things due to need throughout the whole county. And I think that's what we should be doing. And I support everything that I've read in terms of your priorities in the expenditures.
Okay, any other commissioners? One more.
Well, this is a discussion on our budget, right?
We have been talking about this budget since April. So go ahead.
I just want to say that there's history here with different jurisdictions maintaining their libraries. And that's why I bring this up. It's because these buildings belong to the jurisdictions, and they've taken different paths in building their buildings and in maintaining their buildings and having leases for them. And the reason I bring up leases, because the lease says the library should pay for this and the jurisdiction should pay for that. And libraries that have leases, that's the way it's pretty much worked. The jurisdictions that have not fulfilled their responsibility to have a lease with us, then the library is fully responsible for everything. I am not questioning our professional staff who's done a marvelous job on these important documents. I'm just bringing up this important point that sometimes gets lost, that there are jurisdictional responsibilities for the buildings because they're owned by the jurisdictions. And so that's why I bring this up. And I certainly am not talking about any kind of pork barrel or I want mine for this. I am very system-wide looking. But we also, besides the system, we are representatives of jurisdictions, and that's our responsibility also as commissioners. So that's the point I want to make. Thank you.
And you know, Barbara, that, I'm very keenly aware of the commission's feelings on the leases when I'm engaging in these negotiations, and I am trying my best to look out for all of your interests in these lease negotiations.
Yeah.
And I represent Petaluma. How long has that been? So, I understand.
That's not our fault, that's the city of Petaluma.
Well, I understand. Look where we are years later.
3 years we've had that in there.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the revised?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Then I'm just going to go for a call to question because we've been talking about this. Commissioner Cahill?
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt?
Vote yes, with my written comments, which I've sent to Lisa, and I include those in my response by reference.
Thank you. They have been distributed to the commissioners. Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Elton?
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos?
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Yes.
And I will make it a test. All right, thank you all, and thank you to staff. Budgets are always an interesting process, and we appreciate your work. And
Thank
we know
you.
that it is also not something that is cast in stone, so as the year moves forward, we may be bringing additional information back to the commission. All right, the next action item by motion is the revised Sonoma County Library 2023 salary schedule for unrepresented employees. It's a shorthand, a short version of that.
Basically, we updated it to include the new division manager for community engagement and team services administrator. And we have a salary schedule for division managers. It's the same salary as the other division managers. And the team service administrator is equivalent to adult services and youth services administrator. So we just added those two, and that's why we have presented an updated salary schedule.
Any questions from the commission? See any hands up online? Any questions here? All right, do I have a motion to approve the revised salary schedule?
I'll second.
All right, did you get that, Lisa?
Yes, I did.
Any comments from the public? I don't see the public here, okay. Because I have to ask after every action in the public. Then we're going to go to Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingram.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yes.
Commissioner Penzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Elton.
Yes.
Commissioner Lagos.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner McMillan is absent, and I will make it a yes also. Thank you all. All right. 11.3 we've already done, and so it will be 12.3.
11.4.
11.4.
We did 11.3.
11.4, approved contract for
Yes, so we're going to
diversity.
11.4. That's where I'm getting to. Let's talk about the diversity consulting services agreement.
Yes, hello again, commissioners. Thank you so much. The reimagining plan had required that had included that the library hire a diversity consultant. And as you know, the racial equity team is truly grateful for that because we've been doing marvelous work. We felt and believe that we honestly need the services of diversity consultant to help us move our work forward. We believe that hiring a diversity consultant will help us meet our key goals to foster racial equity, social justice, and inclusion for everybody. So we we put out a request for proposals, and we received 19 submissions. We reviewed and evaluated those proposals and came down with 4 finalists and interviewed them, and it was determined that Youth Change Consulting would be best meet the needs of the library. Over the next 2 years, the consultants would work with the library to help us audit, develop, and implement policies and practices that would help us bring us further along our way, including, getting an opportunity to have stakeholder interviews with commissioners, library leaders, staff, BIPOC staff, and have focus groups and help us really just create a solid path to move forward and really carry this work incrementally to make longer sustainable change and put this in a plan to go forward. They won't solve the plan. There's no problem just be solved, but they won't do everything for us, but they will lead us with something that we will be able to carry forward over these next 2 years. And so I'm really excited to say that we're really happy to have them start this work. And because the contract is $150,000 over the next 2 years, we are bringing it to you to have, so that you can approve it for us.
Questions from the commission? No public comment? Nobody on the, Commissioner Upton?
I don't have a question. I guess I just have a comment. As I think many of you know, I, for many years, had a consulting practice doing organizational development work. I'm really impressed that the staff received 19 proposals and interviewed 4 finalists. Seems to me they've done a thorough job of vetting and selecting a firm, and the overall cost seems quite reasonable given the scope of work that's going to be undertaken. So I'm certainly going to vote yes to support this. Thank you.
My question is, this is going to focus a lot on our internal culture, the internal culture of the library. And so are there ways that you foresee us being able to use this work out in the community as well?
Yes, and that is a great question. And so we have had some pre-work with them, like a visioning meeting, pre-meeting. And so part of that work was to determine who we want those focus groups or stakeholder. And we came up with some, but that means it's not the final answer. So we could have technically a outside focus group or to get survey information from her somehow, but whatever we do inside is going to be delivered to the community because it's part of what this whole reimagining plan is about, and that's how we're going. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited that you're going to approve this that I'm just going to cry that right now because this is just my work that I've just engaged with for 30 years. So anyway, yes, because it's all about connecting it back to the community and bringing it to the community. And so yeah, it's really.
We hear you.
Thank you. Sorry.
No. It's often the case that if we're looking inside to talk about the conversation, then we don't know what the people outside in the community don't know about equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so we cannot expect them to know as much or feel as much or be as connected as we are if we haven't been talking about it.
Right.
It's a community conversation.
Yes, and our whole mission and case statement when we joined this When we joined HIS was to make our library represent and reflect the communities that we serve, and also by bringing in employees and keeping employees that reflect the communities that we serve, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a motion?
Just one quick question. I noticed that we are our own reference. We're the one of the references.
We did use them for training several years back. We had, after we got the GARE grant, we had $5,000 that we had to expend for training, and so we did hire them for supervisory training. But they are also doing work, do I talk louder? Because I don't know if I'm on microphone.
Is that microphone working?
It doesn't feel like it's working. Yeah, I think the battery. Yeah, I think the battery went out.
I am mindful of the people on the call.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
We're working on the battery, sorry.
Can you hear me in Zoom?
We got thumbs up from Sarah.
Yes.
They can hear.
Can you hear?
Just speak up.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we did use them for a series of training that was about $5,000, and then we had one in-house staff training with them several years ago, but they were one of 19 that we received. And they also have been doing work with Sonoma County, different departments within Sonoma County as well.
Super. So was this the trainer that provided this year's training? The opening night, the opening of a all staff day was a training session.
Oh, no, that was Justice at Work for Public Libraries. That's Mia Henry.
So I will say that I was one of the reviewers of all of the RFPs, and we were just so impressed with this organization and how comprehensive their proposal is. And it's not just about training, they're going to be looking at all of our policies and procedures, giving us a plan. They also have, training that's designed specifically for managers, and training that's designed specifically for, it's on page 201. It says these are some of the trainings that they have. Training the trainers is another aspect. So we will train staff on how to facilitate conversations. So, we were very impressed with this group of all the folks that we talked to, and we felt that this was really the best. And they're local, they're in California, they're based out of Berkeley, so it just made it so much, easier to select them.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, we to accept it.
All right, first and second. It is the motion to authorize the library director to execute the agreement with Be the Change Consulting for diversity consulting services to the library for the period of June 1st, 2023 through June 1st, 2025. I'll also say that when I was president of the California Library Association, my theme was Be the Change. So
you're saying you have some kind of financial involvement?
I have no financial involvement, sadly. All right, Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingram.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
No.
No, sorry. Okay. That's a no. Commissioner Ravenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin.
Yes.
Commissioner Lago.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
No. Commissioner McMillan, and I will say yes also. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item is a discussion for nominations for chair and vice chair. It's difficult to believe that it's that time of year already. So do I have a nomination for chair? Commissioner Cahill.
I nominate you can go ahead.
I'll second that. Thank you. Do we have none, and I appreciate it, I really do. I think it will provide some continuity, I think. Do we have nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Brooke Green.
I'll second that. Any other nominations for chair or vice chair?
I have trouble reading the thing. I nominate Barbara McKenzie. Either or. I think we need to get some different people here to have some new blood. I've got one more year to run, and I think stepping aside is what I decided I was going to do, so that we can get somebody else to get somebody to do that. So that's my position.
Chair Doyle, just so you know, this is, the voting will take place in July, at the July meeting, so nominations will be accepted through June 21.
Okay.
So this is just kind of putting them out there.
Okay.
And if we follow the same policy we followed in the past, anybody can nominate themselves and they follow.
Correct. So it doesn't have to be here. So if you're thinking about it and want to nominate yourself for one of the positions, just make sure Lisa gets it as quickly as you can. All right. I think brings us down to agenda items for future commission meetings. Suggestion?
Yes, I have two, one old item and a new one. I'd like to have a discussion in the future on the facilities plan. That would include looking at the facilities master plan report, the ADA plan that we've developed, and the plan that was submitted with the budget, so that we could have a discussion about library facilities at a commission meeting. And the other item was an old item that I submitted in at the January 4th meeting on readings, first and second readings for major agenda items, and that item hasn't made its way onto the agenda yet, and I'd like to, if I have to, put it back on the agenda so that we could have a consideration of that in the future.
I believe we talked about that earlier in this meeting, and I think we'll talk about it, we'll talk about it again, but thank you for your input. We do have a list of items that have been brought up in the past, and we make sure that we're getting to that. Any other? Commissioner Hauser?
We had a lot of discussion from the public tonight about a specific topic of presentation for.
Can you talk louder, please?
We had a lot of comments from the public tonight about the presentation for small children, and I think we need to have a discussion about that. I think staff needs to give us some kind of report. We need to have a discussion, because really show people that we're concerned with their issues. We have to discuss it, not just listen to it and ignore it. And I think we need to probably do it next month.
Do you think we were going to ignore it?
I'm saying that this is a topic that needs to be added to the agenda. You asked that question.
I agree.
Okay, the next question I have is, there was some mention of the possibility of self-insurance and getting into a program. And I'm not sure that that's something that's going to happen next month, but I would like to have that as considered. I have no idea that it's would be viable or not viable, but I really think that's something we need to look at.
Commissioner McKenzie?
I bring this up only because a staff person asked several of us at the parade the other day about changing our meeting time, and I know we recently, very recently, have established meetings on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, so it's been a recent thing, but we do have some new people who maybe didn't get to weigh in on that, I don't know, but anyway, I don't know that it's an agenda topic, but I'm airing it in case, just to express the staff concern about that they weren't able to come to meetings if they worked in another, if they didn't work here, they couldn't get here by 6 o'clock.
We wanted to change to 6:30. And I didn't realize that was a staff person.
I think it was. No, it was not a staff person. I actually saw her here today, She was from Sebastopol, but she's not a staff person.
She's a member of the public. That's what
Yeah,
I
she's a member of the public.
Okay, I thought she was staff at Sebastopol.
No, she was not.
And yeah, she can't get here at 6 because she works until 6. And I think that's legitimate, and I live in Illinois, so.
But that's one of the reasons why it's terrific,
Yeah.
that we have online access,
Yes,
so.
we did
can-
mention that.
People can attend via Zoom.
That's right, that's right. All are invited to comment. All right, anything from anybody else on the, I know you're all calling from elsewhere, so we will try to let you go. Date and time of the next meeting, Wednesday, July 5th. There is one thing there's so many celebrations. We try to make sure that everyone gets celebrated. We're doing Juneteenth, I think it's wonderful, but I also think that, especially given some of the conversations that we've been having in recent years, I think it would be nice to do something for the 4th of July, for Independence Day. I think we should acknowledge that if we didn't have the 4th of July, we wouldn't be having Juneteenth either. So, I think that if the library is doing a program, we'd love to hear about it. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Jake, we have cake.
Baby sugar.